We move on to our oral communications. Yes, we gotta get going. Thank you. Okay, I do have 32 requests, so I'm gonna cut down the oral communication to 2 minutes. The rules are that the first 15 minutes will be allocated to oral communications, and the rest of the requests will go after we take care of the city business agenda, which is a very busy agenda that we have today. So I will start with Dolores McQuiston. Please come forward. 2 minutes. Please respect the time because we have so many speakers. We would love to hear from everyone.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. It's all about trust. How can the citizens of Escondido trust the majority of the members of the City Council when they closed a branch library and now plan to outsource the remaining library? What will be next that destroys the heart and soul of the city?
Thank you. Next is, excuse me, okay. You are taking away from the rest of the speakers. Let's move forward. Roy Garrett, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm suggesting that if there's a menu item for the 23rd regarding outsourcing the library, the sponsor of it, maybe Jeff, and someone else here could take it off the agenda. It's ripping this community in ways I hope you understand, but you don't see it all. We're talking about the sale of a piece of the heart of the community for a savings of $400,000. That's a community that's carrying a surplus of reserves of $17,392,000 in its general reserves. That's for a library that over the last 7 years has come in at $4.2 million less than was appropriated to it. We have some real treats here in Escondido, some heart of Escondido. Kit Carson Park, the Arts Center, this building, churches lots of these people go to, and the library. We paid for it, we love it, we made promises to the people who work in it. They changed careers, or they came here and pledged their careers to us. We pledged to them, and now it's time that we continue to keep that pledge. We understand that there's supposed to be $400,000 in savings on this outsource. Well, I don't know how the 29,000 volunteer hours are going to be affected. I don't know how the $75,000 from Friends of the Library are going to be affected. I know how the community is going to be affected in large part, and so do the trustees of the library board. They had 200 people. That's not mentioned to you in the manager's report, but 200 people who were sort of angry about this idea. It is a poor idea.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett.
It injures our city,
Thank
and you shouldn't do it.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Karen, excuse me. Okay. I allowed it a few times, but you're cutting short the other people's time. Please, I want to hear from all of you. We want to respect everybody's opinion. We're going to hear from each one of you. We're going to listen to your things. We're not going to discuss this today because it's not on the agenda. At the same time, please don't applaud every time. We have applauded a few times. I allowed it. But now let's go with the speakers. Next is Karen Taji.
Good afternoon, council members and city staff. My name is Karen Taget, and I am the president of the Escondido City Employees Association. I would like to relate a story to you relevant to the outsourcing of the library employees. A couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to visit a library in Riverside County to work on a family genealogy project. I left around 10 a.m. and arrived just before noon on my dark Friday. When I approached the entrance of the library, I was surprised that the automatic doors wouldn't open. After a few futile attempts to gain access, I noticed a sign off to the side with the library hours, and it stated that the hours on Fridays were 1 to 5 p.m. I was surprised that a library would only be open for 4 hours on a regular weekday. So after killing time for an hour, I finally was able to get inside. A very friendly librarian helped me find the reference material that I needed for my project, and it took about an hour. When I was done and returned all the books to her desk, I asked her if this was one of the libraries that worked under LS&S. She said yes, and then her smiling face turned into a frown. It was like a curtain dropped. I asked her if she liked working for LS&S, and she said she couldn't talk about it. I remarked that I understood since she didn't know who I was, but I explained that I worked for the city of Escondido and they were planning on outsourcing the library staff. She shook her head a few times side to side and remained silent. Then she said, "The only thing I can tell you is that I loved working for the city." Obviously, she did not have the same feelings about her current employer. I hope that the City Council does their due diligence prior to the vote next week. I know positions in other departments have been outsourced in the past, only to have those positions taken back by the city when the outsourcing proved to be inferior. With a 5-year contract on the line, it could be a long time before corrective measures can be taken if necessary, and in some cases, the damage may be irreversible. Please make an effort to speak candidly with any former LS&S employees you can find. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Pamela Stahl. Excuse me. Pamela Stahl, please come forward, followed by Farron Statney. Do we have Pamela Stahl? Okay, we'll go to the next one. Farron, come forward, followed by Bonnie Packard. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and residents. My name is Farron Stasny. My husband and I are new homeowners here to Escondido. The city has always been my home and has been a part of my heritage. We settled here in the 1890s and have been here ever since. We chose to come back here after moving all over the country to support my husband's Navy career. For the past 5 years, we've lived in the city of San Diego. Every week, multiple times, we have made the 30-mile drive to partake in Escondido's resources. Top-notch schools, the safari park, amazing recreation programs, and the best library in the county are all reasons for that. We are a homeschool family who partners with Classical and heavily rely on Escondido's community assets to enrich our lives and our children's education. It is not difficult to grasp my family's concern that one of Escondido's greatest assets is under threat. Last year, I spent around $300 per child to enrich their curriculum. This number would have been well over $1,000 if not for this fine library. Not to mention the high-quality programs the library offers. My teen participates in the Teen Advisory Board. My husband and I attend special presentations and concerts. My younger children read to reptiles and participate in holiday events and activities. The Stasny family spends a significant amount of time at the library, and it was a driving force in the purchase of our home here in Escondido. We donate books and shop at the bookstores. We use the archives to research our history. We hang out and browse the collection specifically tailored to this community. There's always a line at the door prior to the opening. I encourage you to visit the library and see what an asset this provides to our citizens. Dare I say it, the Citizens Library of Escondido is alive and well. It is not broken. It should be around to serve the community for generations to come, just as it has in the past. As you're considering privatizing the library, please understand that we as citizens are also making considerations of our own. We are considering continuing to volunteer and financially support a library that is ran by a for-profit company. We are considering whether or not to support a new library facility through a bond measure. We are considering who we want to elect to represent us in the upcoming election. I implore you, please listen to your constituents.
I appreciate it. Okay, Bonnie Packard, excuse me. Okay, we're gonna play by the rule. We're gonna play by the rule. You need to respect other people who have different views. We cannot intimidate any citizens here that are willing to express their views. Ma'am, go ahead, Bonnie Packard.
Thank you. I'm Bonnie Packard. My comments are about the obvious and fundamental reason for the outcry over library outsourcing. The primary goal of a for-profit enterprise is making money, not serving the public. Skimping on service and reducing expenses is to make money for the owners. But a nonprofit or a government agency decides trade-offs based on what provides greater benefit to the public, not customer satisfaction versus profit. How well a business meets the needs of customers is subjective and ambiguous, usually exposed through competition. It's not measured purely in hours and circulation numbers. In this case, LSSI's customers would be the City Council awarding the contract, not the people of Escondido. Now, if you would like to argue that this issue is also about serving employees too well, that is your problem to solve for every agency, not just the library. How many donations and volunteer hours are contributed to IT, maintenance, billing, accounting, code enforcement? Please look for savings of that type in departments where the measures of performance are less subjective and where the people of this city are not so directly affected. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Heidi Paul. Heidi Paul, please come forward. And Charles Young, please just stand in front of the podium so we can hear as many speakers as we can.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council people. My name is Heidi Paul, and I'm speaking on the library. Some folks think that those of us that are here protesting the outsourcing of the library are anti-capitalist liberals looking for a cause. To the contrary, I happen to believe that the free market as a whole produces amazing results here in the U.S. without government interference. Thank you very much. So I do not think this is a liberal versus a conservative issue. There are certain taxpayer-paid services, however, cogs in the wheel of our society, so to speak, that are there because they are necessary. These necessary cogs are public schools and public libraries, and they are there because they are vital services that educate people so they can become free market participants. Mr. Epp, when you try to fix our city's budget, please be humble, please have an open mind, and listen carefully to your constituents. For there will always be unintended, and in this case, negative consequences when you take a cog like the librarians, and they really are what make our library so successful, out of the wheel of the city. From what I've learned about LS&S, they won't be providing wonderful speakers, reading clubs, writing clubs, free concert programs, literacy programs. Mayor Abed, you have the privilege of being the front person who gets to decide to do the right thing. I'm telling you, no one will support a bond issue for a new library in order to benefit a Maryland business. So please, be our hero and look for another way to save 0.4% of the budget.
Thank you. Charles Young, please. Okay, let's move on. Charles, thank you.
Charlie Young, Escondido, retired engineer, Vietnam veteran. So when I was a kid, didn't have any money, so my parents took me to the library, spent a lot of time at the library, checked out tons of books, didn't cost me anything. So Carnegie Stout Free Library, free. So now, after I'm retired, I get plenty of time to read. I spend a lot of time, check out a lot of books at the library, economics, politics, engineering, that kind of thing. But and I spend a lot of time researching the pros and cons of privatization. And in this case, privatizing the library is a bad idea. So thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ronald Coyle. I'm sorry to mispronounce the. Okay, let's move on. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council. I believe what we're looking at here is an issue of trust. The city here does not trust what your decisions have been in the past. You've taken a library out of a very busy area that was needed by people of low-income people on the east side. This company is, I've done a lot of research on this company, LS&S, and people are not happy. The community is not happy with what goes on with them. And again, we're going back to issues of trust. If we look behind me, I'd like to trust my audience. How many people here trust that the City Council will do the right thing in this issue? Please raise your hand.
Okay.
And I like to have another issue here for you also. We have a very divided community right now with Latinos and the rest of Escondido. And we have a gentleman sitting in this City Council who does not enter the Latino community. He represents it. He's never seen there. There are issues that come up. People are fearful right now with the political climate, and there's no outreach. There's no outreach from anybody, and that's unfortunate for us as a community. Again, we go back to trust. Who here trusts the City Council will do the right thing in this issue? Raise your hand. And then one more thing. There's a memo that was leaked that says they already have the contract. And we saw it last week, and you guys have not made a decision. I know you haven't made a decision, but the memo says you have. Again, we go back to trust. And that one person you paid to raise their hand and say they trust you, God bless them.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna take the last public speaker, Mildred Koning. We love you, Neil. Okay, is Mildred here? Okay, we move on to the next one. Juan Varios Rios. One more. He's not here. Okay, Stephanie Farley. Okay. And we go to Doreen Campbellberg. Sorry, the handwriting is not good. Do we have Doreen here? Okay. We have Marlon Soraro. Okay.
Take this lady. Grab her. She's here.
Chris Nava. Okay. Gonna try one more. Chris Nava is here. Okay. Save the day.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. There are many reasons why Mr. Epps' idea of outsourcing our library to the LS&S is a very bad one. First, anytime a public library is privatized, it sends a red flag that a local government is derelict in its duties. This is according to the American Library Association. Many in this community feel that the city has been derelict by not involving the public in this decision from the very start. It is now a well-known fact that the city staff has been meeting with LS&S since early this year. It is obvious to all of us that backdoor negotiating has been taking place all this time. The residents deserve better. It is only because the public inserted itself into the conversation that the public is now deeply involved. The reasons given for proposing outsourcing is faulty at best. In your cost-benefit analysis of the so-called $400,000 savings, why did you exclude the lost benefits from the $50,000 in public cash contributions, the volunteer time of at least $400,000, lost donations and legacies, the risk to the new library bond approval? The community will deny a new library bond if the library is turned over to LS&S. There is no evidence that an honest study or review of department budgets and efficiencies has taken place, nor a master plan for addressing pensions and other costs. Neither has there been any demonstration of consideration to contract with the county library. These are the kind of analysis we expect from a transparent government. No consideration is given to the fact that for every dollar spent on public libraries, the local community receives $5.48 in economic return.
Thank you.
Just a minute.
Okay.
The city's lost analysis makes no mention of the more intangible, but nevertheless real cost to the community, the lack of trust in our local government.
Thank you. We appreciate it, Ms. Nava. Thank you all. Yes, you deserve a round of applause. We thank everyone for their input and for sharing with us. That the rest of the speakers will be at the end of the oral communication section of this meeting. With that, we move to our consent. Okay, thank you, Council. We have still a lot of speakers there. We go back to the oral communications. We're going to continue with the same format. Please, 2 minutes. Please, let's go without interruptions. Let's give the courtesy to everyone to be heard, and we would appreciate your cooperation with this. We have Townsend. Please come forward, 2 minutes, and followed by John Redman. And if you come and line up, please, that would save a lot of time. And then also followed by Juliana Crespo. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for allowing me to have direct democracy going here. My name is Cheryl Townsend. I am a retired social worker. And for many, many years, I worked with children who had lots of problems, and among them were lots of times inadequate resources. They needed someone to read to them so they'd be enthusiastic about reading. They needed stories so they'd learn about the world. They needed access to computers so that they could function in our society. And I'm concerned that these services could be cut back or eliminated if we go with a private library service. You've already expressed tonight that there's problems the further away from us services are or funding is, the more problems we have with it. And I think it's really important to keep this local and to have only local services there. And public libraries have been public for many, many years, and I think they could continue to be. Otherwise, why don't we farm out our school system to a private agency in Georgia? You know, it might be cheaper.
Thank you. Okay, John Redmond, please come forward, followed by Juliana Crespo. Thank you. And thank you all for waiting so we finished our council agenda as well.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I just moved to Escondido 2 years ago, and I've used the library a lot. Saves me a lot of money. I don't have to buy books. I can just check them out and, you know, read them and turn them back in. I love it. It's a wonderful resource, especially for our younger people, kids, and I don't want to see it go private because we don't have local control. Then we don't have local control. We don't have accountability. We don't have transparency. A company that you know, that's not located here in Escondido can't really serve Escondido the way our local people can, and they have to come up with extra money to make a profit. This company will, and so where's that money going to come from? I mean, they're going to have to either cut services or cut staff, and I don't want that.
Thank you. Juliana Crespo, followed by Marie Schwab and Patricia Borschman. Do we have Juliana? No? Next is Marie Schwab, followed by Patricia Borschman.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for hearing us. I have something to read. A fact sheet was published on the city website dated July 11th. It stated that the cost comparison analysis was complete. That once the cost comparison analysis was complete, if substantial savings could be achieved, a public comment period would be held to gain insight from the Escondido community. What are the dates of the public comment period? How is it being publicized? And with what media methods and other methods are the public being asked to comment? And how will the amounts and texts of comments be made available to the public? If anyone has answers for those, we'd appreciate it.
We cannot debate those, but these are good questions, will be answered at the next meeting. Okay, do we have Patricia Borschman, please?
Thank you. First, I would like to show you, this is a graphic showing the entire city of Escondido budget allocations and percentages that are devoted to police is 42%, fire 25%, public works, community development, and the amount for public services, community services, which the library is a component of that, is 5%. So that's this little green highlighted area. The cost analysis that was prepared by the finance department indicated that the proposed outsourcing of the library would save the city up to $400,000 annually. And so my understanding is that's the primary basis upon which, this entire decision's being predicated on, as was the decision in 2012 to close the Escondido Branch Library. These were based on cost issues. In the earlier case, the library was closed despite, the community having offered $100,000 to cover the immediate gap, and the city rejected that. And again, what I would like to show you here is a graphic that displays the entire city's entire funding, and the amount that would be saved by this $400,000 a year is 0.25%. So that's this little green line. So I think it's a good way to demonstrate how minuscule the savings are. And then I think it should be restated that that's in contrast to all these sources of income, volunteer hours, the funding foundations that annually provide Friends of the Library, the bookstore, and all this funding that is...
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up. Jean Sanders, followed by Virginia Abushanab, followed by Phyllis Allenson. Okay, is Jean Sanders? Okay, then Virginia.
Thank you for listening to us. I am a volunteer at the library, and I think you're probably getting sick of my emails because I've emailed all of you several times. Anyway, I thank you. Those of you who respond, I especially thank you. Mr. Mason responded today. I would like at this time to present the petitions. These were gathered in 7 days with about 30 hours of volunteer help. So we just approached people as they approached the library, and we were polite. We said, "Do you know why we're here?" Most of them had no idea, no knowledge that anything like this was happening. This was the most disturbing part to me. Anyway, when we explained that we are, the board, the city council is seriously considering privatizing the library, outsourcing, if you prefer that word, the reaction was unbelievable. What? I can't believe it. No. Yeah. There is a place for comments. I hope you will glance through them. Actually, you all have the PDF of this.
That's what we did.
And I've gotten about 50 more since then, and people keep handing me pieces of paper. I said, that's enough. I'm tired. So anyway, there we go. Mr. Mason made the comment that he doesn't know why people would sign this without knowing all the facts. And I said, yes, well, we have a gut feeling that this is a big deal. You're putting us in the hands of unknowns, so many unknowns. And the people who do know libraries and the people who work there, they're all 100% against this. The director, the whole staff, your own board of trustees 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago voted unanimously against it. What's going on? Why is this even an issue? And as for facts, I don't think we have a level playing field. You invited that company in, you listened to their slick presentation, and we're stuck here with our little computer printouts, and we don't know what they're doing, and we don't know, and we won't know. That's the thing about it. We won't know what they're doing.
Thank you, Virginia. We appreciate it. We're looking forward for our meeting. She asked me to meet, and we're going to meet with Mrs. Abushanab. Next is Phyllis Allenson, followed by Barbara Shimkos, and followed by Shimkos. Okay, sorry, the right. Okay. Phyllis Allenson is not here. Okay. Please go ahead.
Okay, Mayor and council members, I want to say
What's your name? Sorry.
Phyllis Allenson.
Okay, go ahead.
I I have an office right across from the library. I use it constantly. I'm constantly donating books to the friends and buying them. And that would not be happening with me and many others were we to go private. I say very strongly, let's keep it, it's working well, and let's keep it the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Shimkos? Is Barbara here? Okay. We'll go to Meryl Burke.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Meryl Burke. In no particular order, I'd like to let you know that I have a nice little email here from Madeline Horton, who is the Library Adult Services. We'd be happy to receive your feedback on the cookbooks. The title I emailed you about was ordered today, so I expect it will arrive soon. She wrote me that I had recently put a hold on the Easy Way to Artisan Breads and Pastries, but the book's missing. But anyway, it was just really fantastic to get a nice direct response from her, and I really appreciated that. I may run over, so if anyone wants to give me more time from their time, let me know.
No, we cannot assign
No, I
times.
mean the other people if they want to forfeit their time. But
We
I
cannot do
wanted to
that.
explain that I did learn recently, and I started a petition which has already gained over 700 signatures of people that are concerned about outsourcing the library to LSS. What I feel is that there's a bit of a dismissiveness going on towards the citizenry. We don't want to be treated like we're the amateurs and we must obey all the professionals involved. I came here from Rancho Bernardo with serious trepidation over 6 years ago. Escondido from Rancho Bernardo, I was a little concerned about what am I getting myself into and what's going to happen. So what I did is I became involved in community services. I started looking at what this fantastic city has to offer us. And one of the things I discovered was the library. Another thing about it was the second Saturday concerts that the library hosts. And so what I did is I started bringing friends and groups to the second Saturday concerts. I called it the trifecta. Then we would go over to Vin's, have a glass of wine and a little chat, and then we would do the second Saturday art walk. There's a lot of wonderful things about our city, and the library is one of them. And I'd really like to see it maintained. It is not going to be cost effective, in my opinion. I think we need to look at the other expenditures and budgetary concerns that y'all have. And thank you for your time, Mayor.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sheila Carr, I believe. Is Sheila here? Okay. Brenda Townsend? Okay. Followed by Vanessa Valenzuela.
Brenda Townsend, 30-year Escondido resident, registered voter of District 4, fan of the Escondido Public Library. My daughter is a proud volunteer at the library as well. She's 16 years old. 15 reasons I'm imploring you not to privatize Escondido's public library. Number 1, insufficient funds spent on children's collection. Number 2, loss of transparency and accountability. Number 3, loss of volunteer support and money from the Friend Shop. Number 4, loss of community cohesion. Number 5, further erosion and lack of trust and confidence in current council majority. Number 6, loss of support for possible library bond measure. Number 7, ALA is against privatization, as are the EPL Board of Trustees and retired city librarians. That's a 3-for-1. Number 8, remove taxpayer money from the local community. Number 9, no incentive for LSNS to respond to local needs. Number 10, library is only 3% of the entire budget. Make cuts elsewhere in bigger pie slices. Number 11, the library is not meant to be a business but a service. Number 12, we don't want mass popular books crowding out our well-rounded collection. Number 13, 410 library programs cut due to loss of volunteer hours. Number 14, insufficient numbers of ALA credentialed librarians. We now have 11 at our main library. In Riverside County, for 37 locations, they have 36 ALA credentialed librarians, less than 1 per location. We now have 11 in our one main library. Number 15, leads to an uneducated and disenfranchised populace. These reasons are just the tip of the iceberg. You've done the homework. You know these points. Your report states that there's $400,000 to be saved. You've done a cost analysis. We need a cost benefit analysis. We have everything to lose and very little to gain. We need to look at that ratio. There might be slight financial gains, but you could also make those elsewhere. It would be responsible to initiate a citywide review of department budgets. It is short-sighted thinking to start with cuts of the smallest piece of pie. A city master plan addressing pensions and other costs is needed. This tiny cut to the library is not going to solve your long-term pension issues. It's tough for you rich folks to understand, but not everyone can afford to buy books.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Vanessa Venezuela, please. Let's move on. Followed by Barbara Letsom.
Mayor, council members, I actually could go on and on about the millions of dollars that you, as a council, have wasted. And unfortunately, I don't have that kind of time. 2 months ago, I was here at the budget hearing, and I asked you to consider adding a budget committee to gain input from the community and help find solutions to Escondido's financial problems. Mayor Bed, you said that it was not necessary. I couldn't get anybody else to add it to make it an agenda item and discuss it further. In that same meeting, you passed a budget that included a $50,000 salary increase for our city manager. So I don't feel that you are taking our finances that seriously, okay? You didn't seem very concerned about it, and I just want to say that those of you who move forward with this proposal with LS&S, prior to thoroughly exploring other areas and departments that could provide significant savings with less impact on the community, you are choosing to do so with willful ignorance. And the people of Escondido deserve better than that. The people of Escondido deserve better than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Barbara Letsom. Excuse me. Okay, gonna move on, and please don't speak from the seats there, out of respect to the speakers.
Thank you, Mayor
Thank
and
you.
City Council. I'm here to speak about the librarians. The librarians, it's a career, it's not a job, and they have degrees in Master of Library Science, and LSS assured us that no one will lose their jobs, that they would offer librarians that they wanted to dismiss with other jobs within the city. But this is not what their degrees are in. They're librarians. If you get rid of them and get other people to whom a librarian is just a job, we're not going to have the dedication or the education that we're used to. On another note, when we closed the vibrant East Side Library branch, neighborhoods have subsequently suffered from that loss, and I have seen much more graffiti, much more. I've never seen anything like it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
And I gathered 60 signatures in less than 24 hours.
Thank you. Mary Seniors is next. Mary? Is Mary here? Followed by Erin Labont McKay, followed by Greg Dean, followed by Pamela Stahl. Is Pamela here? She left. Okay. And then Joy. If your name is Joy, come forward. Sorry, I cannot read your last name. Marilyn Serrano, followed by Doris Kingsburg.
Well, good evening, early evening, Mr. Mayor and members of our City Council. I'm happy to be here to help inform everybody as a citizen, a concerned citizen, an active citizen of Escondido for the past 30 years. I retired as a high school math teacher from the San Diego Union High School District, where we raised our 3 sons, who are now adults. The library system has been a part of all of our lives. The public library system. Our kids learned the Dewey Decimal System very young, and so did we. And my immediate family went to the public library. We'd stop at the Curry's ice cream store on the way home to get ice cream. When I grew up in South Central LA, had it not been for the library, I would have not been a reader. And the same with our kids. And it's so important for especially disadvantaged kids who are disenfranchised, to be able to have the opportunity to have these resources in their own neighborhoods. The idea of shutting down a library in a neighborhood is just, to me, it's scandalous. And the idea of bringing a public entity under the guardianship of private enterprise for profit is just plain wrong. It's just plain morally wrong. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Doris. Excuse me, let's move forward, please. Respect other speakers' time as well. Doris, yes, thank you.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm Pamela Stahl.
Oh, all right.
I will never forget when a past City Council majority closed the Escondido's second library during the recession. That library was a lifeline to many people. I remember being in this chamber at that time, a donor coming forward with an offer to fund the money for the second library for approximately a year to get through the dire times, but that offer was rejected. Now we have another blow. This City Council is considering outsourcing our library, taking it out of our local control. If the City Council decides to go through with this monstrous act and a library bond comes out in the future, I will vote no on the bond and I will work to oppose it. Thank you.
Okay, let's go next. Mildred Koenig. Mildred, is Mildred here? Okay, we will go on to Juan de Vrios. Is Juan here? Okay. Let's see, Mrs. Farley, Stephanie Farley, okay. Kelsey, Brent, Tom Cohen. He left? Okay, so that's good. He was hiding. I know. Thank you. And thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, I had a couple of speeches. One involved downsizing our police department by using a security service, but we have armed police here, so I won't go into that. But today I do have a chance to speak out and try to save our library. A few months back, Deputy Mayor Masson came up with a beautiful idea, state-of-the-art library right here in the park, and adding on to it swimming pool, all sorts of things that would just beautify, make it something special. John, I don't want to see that die. And if we outsource this library, we are going to lose grant money, we're going to lose bond measures, we're going to lose the library. We don't know what it holds. And if I don't stand up and say something, shame on me. But if you vote to outsource this library, shame on you.
Thank you. Liz White. Liz, please respect the speakers. We owe them respect. We need to hear them, period. Liz White is here? No? Okay. followed by Consuelo Martinez.
I'm Liz White. I am a citizen in Escondido for 3 years. I got involved in the library issue because it means a lot to me personally. I was hoping I could show you something that the children in this city prepared for you. Would you mind if I unfurl this and let you see? I know it doesn't follow all the restrictions.
We want to see it. You have 3 minutes. 2 minutes you can use the way you want, but you can leave it with the staff so we
I
can
don't
look
want to
at
leave it here. I just want to
Okay.
display it so you
You
can
can
see.
use your time the way you want.
So I
Go
just
ahead.
want to tell you, okay, I'll just need 1 minute for that. And then I just wanted to say that I have been working with Jenny collecting signatures and talking to people and trying to educate people about why you guys are thinking about doing this. And what's been really fascinating is that all of these signatures, I'm creating a database. And I want to tell you that if someday we have an opportunity to build a new library, I have a database of people who care about this library and want to see a new library built, and I will share it with you, and we will work together to build something new. But right now, this is not the way to move forward. This will discourage people from wanting to help build a new library.
Okay, thank
So,
you. You want to show us this quickly?
I would
You
love
have
to.
50 minutes.
So I thought I was going to cut the paper. I thought, there's no way I'm going to collect enough signatures of children that care about this
Okay.
library. And honestly, I could have made it bigger.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we thank all the kids that they signed it as well. Okay, Consuelo Martinez. Followed by Neil Griffin. Okay, thank you very much. Consuelo.
Greg was called before me. Should I let him go first?
Who?
Greg.
Greg?
He was
Okay,
called
go ahead.
earlier.
No problem.
I'm Greg Dean, 16-year resident of Escondido. If a city decides to pull out of the state pension fund, California Public Employees Retirement System places the municipality's pension fund into a pool of lower risk investments, which lowers the return rate on what that city earns. As a consequence of the reduced investment earnings, the city will have less money to pay the full pension benefits of its retirees, increasing the termination fee, which is always huge, imposed by CalPERS to make up the shortfall. This is from the LA Times not too long ago, but it definitely affects 36 people who are city employees working at the Escondido Public Library right now. And they're going to be shortchanged in a very bad way. Oh boy. The definition that I looked up in my 1987 Random House Unabridged Dictionary for public is quite interesting. Maintained at public expense and under public control as a public library. This was written in 1987, and since that time, a lot has changed in public libraries. But the word public means under public control. You change this now to putting it under private control, you've changed the very nature of the library. Please vote not to have this organization from Maryland run the library, because the people running there right now will have nothing to do with it. They're not going to take jobs here at the city government, and they're not going to work at that library anymore. You'll lose an awful lot of very good people. Come to your senses.
Thank you. Consuelo Martinez, followed by Neil Griffin.
good
followed by
evening.
Debbie Rester. Sorry, go ahead.
That's right. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Consuelo Martinez, and I've lived in Escondido since the age of 4 for a while now. And I just echo what everyone has said before me about keeping our library public. I think it's very important. I've been using the library since I was a little girl, and we used to have 2 libraries. Now we have 1, so we're very protective of this library. That's where a lot of this is coming from. But I also think it's the process. Process is very important, and there's many community members, including myself, who feel that a decision has already been made, even though it hasn't publicly been stated, just based on things that I've been hearing from people who have been sending letters to you in the responses, the dismissive responses that they've been getting back by some council members is really troubling, and that's what makes us think that a decision has already been made. The Library Board of Trustees unanimously voted to not outsource the library, and I know that you have these citizen review boards there as to be your eyes and ears of the community, so I suggest that you listen to them. The message has been said loud and clear, not only by your Board of Trustees that you appointed, but also from the citizens and residents of Escondido. Also, some recommendations, because I don't just like to complain, I like to offer solutions, is hold these meetings. Consider changing these meetings to later in the evening so that more public members can participate, such as like 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I was able to get out of work a little early today, so I was able to be here to speak to you, but I know that next week when you have this item on the agenda, I'm not going to be able to address you. So again, the library is very important to us. You've seen the petition. Everyone here, I mean, I got here a little bit late after the meeting started, but everyone here has spoken against outsourcing the library, so I can't imagine why you would vote otherwise. So please listen to us, see the writing on the wall, and respect our concerns and our voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Neil Griffin. Okay, folks, please let's move forward. Neil Griffin, please. Followed by Debbie Rester, followed by Christopher Stasny.
Well, first off, I just have to congratulate Jeff. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. I've been here a long time. This is the singularly most unpopular issue that's ever come into this chamber. So congratulations. First place for you, huh? In the spirit of fun. Listen, I've never come to this podium before as a private citizen, but I'm happy to do it the first time for the library. And also because I kind of outed myself back there, because I do think you guys are going to do the right thing. And it's funny because I think it was Tom, my good friend Tom Cowan, who insinuated a relationship to how outsourcing public safety. And I can tell you, you'd never do that, because you recognize that public safety, it's not about dollars and cents. What the cops do out here, what safety, what fire does out here, most of the cops, some fire. And the service that they provide is something that goes way beyond dollars and cents. And I know you all are going to recognize that the same thing can be said of the library. That the services that library has been providing this community for 120 years goes beyond dollars and cents. Now, I would argue that it's not going to turn out to be $400,000. I think it's going to be significantly less than that. Do the math and ask yourself if it's really worth surrendering what that library represents and what those staff members represent to the community. It's not about the police cars. It's not about the building, although it's very nice, and thank you very much for that. It's about those men and women. And this isn't going to be about books, and it's not going to be about the speed of checkout or the money. It's about those librarians and that staff that have served us the way they've served us for generations, guys, generations. I know you'll do the right thing. I do trust you. And I'll tell these people right now, I am very confident you're going to do the right thing. Don't let us down.
Thank you, Neil. Okay. Debbie Rester, please. Okay. Yeah, last 2 speakers.
Hello, my name is Debbie Ressler. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. I am here because I feel extremely strongly about the library and against the outsourcing of the library. The first thing that comes to mind to me is that if you all really thought that this was such a good idea that would be a good thing for the community, why has it been handled in such a secretive way? Why was it only recently that the community became aware of this possibility and this consideration? And in a very short time, obviously the public has responded resoundingly that they do not care to move ahead in this direction. So that was thing one. I also, I feel very passionately about this, forgive me. I just don't see how bringing a private company in that will be profit-driven is going to actually meet the needs of this community. I feel like having a crew of librarians and degreed librarians who, as somebody said before, this is their life's work. It's not just a job, it's a career. I feel like those people really know how to serve our community with all of its diverse needs and respond to that. I've been living in Escondido for 15 years, use the library a lot. My children go there a lot. They volunteer there. I can walk in and the librarian says, "Debbie, I have a book that one of your boys would love." I can't see that level of community and interaction and caring about the community happening from a profit-driven business. And it may not be perfect, few things are, and if there are things that need to be addressed about it, then let's get a public forum together. Let's get input from the community who use this library, who all of you have been elected to serve, because that's the way to make decisions, thoughtfully, considerately, and together.
Thank you. Christopher Stasley. Okay, just, you have been very patient. Last speaker, Christopher Stasley, thank you.
Well, hi, I'm Chris Stasley. I'm new resident here, but we've been using services for a long time. Sorry. Please listen to your constituents. It'd be really awesome. What I had questions was concerning the trash abatement issue. Is where's that money coming from? I understand you guys can't answer that question now, or you don't have it. And the other question I had, and I didn't ask it because it wasn't until you had the conversation, was about the outsourcing the payment of services or
utilities.
The web. What's the cost if the city developed it and ran it? So I didn't get a chance to ask that because I didn't think about it at the time when he had the public forum. With that, I relinquish my stand.
Thank you for your comments and thank you for your questions. I want to thank everyone for being here, for expressing your views. You have been very expressing your views. We appreciate that. The council has not made any decisions. We will have another public hearing at the next August 23rd meeting. Keep sending your inputs. I got the petitions from Mrs. Abu Shanab, and then I'm going through them. I'm reading all the comments. And that definitely we will set the record straight and provide all the information, and the council will make a decision next week. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.